Yeah, you pretty much know what this is. Stuttering Toy Nerd here for another Mighty Morphin Power Rangers review. Sticking with Series 1, the line of action figures, here comes the first ever Mighty Morphin Power Rangers action figure. We've gone away with the first two and only two roleplay items released for that year. It is Jason, the Red Ranger. Now, before I get into deep with this review, I'm just so into the nostalgia of this. You just gotta really hear me out on this. It's 1993, and I had just saw the greatest television show that any 6-year-old has ever seen before. And that is, of course, the first episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Day of the Dumpster. Rita Repulsa, released from her space dumpster, begins to wreak havoc on the planet below. Earth. Zordon, sensing imminent danger and impending doom, alerts Alpha to send for 5 teenagers. And they are, in fact, Jason, Zach, Billy, Trini, and Kimberly. Of course, they decline the offer, all except for Jason. Jason, with his loyalty to his friends, declines the offer. And it wasn't until they're attacked by putties and Jason convinces them to use the Power Morphers given to him to transform into the Power Rangers that they accept. And a new fighting force is born. A superhero group born in the 1990s and in a lot of people's minds defined what was the 1990s. In the 80s, in the 70s, it was Star Wars. In the 60s, it was G.I. Joe. The 50s, the hula hoop. The 1930s was the Buck Rogers rocket gun. You know, the 80s was a number of action figures, most importantly being Transformers because of the movie. The 1990s has to be the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It just has to be. Now, I was in love with the show, but of course, the toys were sold out everywhere. It just became this worldwide phenomenon. It wasn't until my 6th birthday party that my mom came downstairs with this Mighty Morphin Power Rangers bag, the color-clad superhero group, garnishing the entire bag with a Red Ranger balloon propped up inside. The Red Ranger, of course, with his jump front kick, that immortal image illustration that was on countless coloring books and other Mighty Morphin Power Rangers memorabilia, and school supplies. Who could forget the school supplies? I couldn't wait to see what it was. Besides, like, not Pez dispenser, Candy Head and some pencils and school supplies there at the very bottom of the bag. I popped it out. It was this triangle box. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I could see Red Ranger through the window. I knew exactly what this was. Jason, the Red Ranger! And here he is, complete with his little bio card, which, of course, if you want to read it, pause it right now. Alright. Here he is, Red Ranger, in all of his glory. 8 inches. This guy stood 8 inches. This was taller than any action figure released at that time. You had Batman the Animated Series, Alien, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe was still there, Transformers. Except for a select few Transformers, none of them reached 8 inches. This stood apart when you went down your main action figure line, besides the robots. This. So of course you had to have it. if you were a fan of the show, if you were lucky enough to even see these on shelves. Most of them were behind the service desk because you couldn't even put them on shelves. The demand was so high. But does he stand the test of time? Let's find out. As you can already see his wicked dynamic pose I tried to put him in. He's a little tight, especially around the waist area. But I'm going to put him in like a neutral pose, just so you can see the guy. There he is. This guy is 8 inches tall, and of course for any 6-year-old, that is larger than life. The proportions are... I would like to say the proportions are very well. The arms are probably just a little bit too long. They could be just a little shorter. Maybe... like, right about here would have been, you know, if they made his arms, I mean, including the hands, just stop right about here, it would have been just about perfect. He's got, so he results from, uh-oh, don't want him to fall. He results from, like, monkey arms. But the articulation on this guy is just amazing. Just amazing for an 8-inch action figure. He's got shoulder, I guess that would be bicep, elbow, and finger articulation. Tell me, how many action figures at that time had finger articulation? People were so amazed when Masterpiece Convoy or Masterpiece Optimus Prime was first released because of finger articulation. You know, Bandai did it first. Now, you know, his only the 3 fingers move in unison. They're one molded piece, but and the pointer finger moves. That's of course, I guess, his signature weapon. The standard sidearm of any Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. But before I get into that, I gotta finish his articulation. Of course, you already saw the waist. His head moves all around. It is a ball joint. It moves to the side, so he can look to the side. He can look up, kind of, look down, diagonally. Oh, this is just great. Just great. He's got waist articulation, as you can see, his hip articulation, his knee joints move 360 and up and down, and his got his ankle articulation. So all in all, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 there. 13, 14, 15, 16. That's about like 20 points of articulation. 20 points of articulation for a standard action figure. The paint is just... well, it's not really painted. I mean, there's little to no paint on this guy. The head has, you know, some silver paint detailing here. The mouth guard, the visor, and the black for the painted detailing on the head, the eyes of the Tyrannosaurus helmet, the nose, the visor, which would also be the Tyrannosaurus's mouth, the red paint for the triangle design, the not triangle, diamond design, the white triangle diamond design here, and that's it. That's all the paint that's on this guy. And then it has the Tyrannosaurus chest symbol stamped on. But that's pretty much it. There's hardly any paint on this guy. All of this is red molded and white molded plastic. And he has, minus the triangles here, but that was commonplace in 1993, the vacuum metallized plastic for the belt, which just makes this figure pop. It gives it something else. I mean, there was already enough white on this guy as it is. And it all comes to this beautiful centerpiece, which is just the octagonal morpher with the red translucent plastic little peg here. It is just wonderful. It's just a sight to behold. And of course, the mold would be reused constantly for the other Rangers, including Kimberly, which I thought was kind of hilarious, a very masculine pink Ranger. And the karate action used these same molds. I believe the mold was originated in Japan because I've seen some Die Ranger action figures in the 8-inch, and I think that explains why the holster is on the wrong side. Now, to go on, what we have here is the power gun, the blade blaster, very, very nicely detailed. It's missing, of course, the teeth. Oops, I'm a little too far. The teeth right there at the end, and he can hold on to it as well. Not very well, but he can hold on to it. And another thing is the stamp. A lot of people don't like the stamp and they get rid of it. I prefer the stamp. It really makes this a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers figure, and it just shows how it just brings out my childhood, because I remember wondering why the stamps were on the toys and yet not on the show. Of course, you know, now I know. It was probably to diversify the entire Mighty Morphin Power Rangers line from Kodo Sentai Jew Ranger, or it could be because all superheroes had chest emblems. Once again, I don't know. But it looks nice. It's a very menacing T-Rex right there. And that's just about it. That's all I have to say about this guy. If you want him, he's fairly cheap. You can get one mint in box for like 20 bucks. 20 bucks! Much cheaper than a $100 to $200 Megazord, $350 Titanus. I mean, this guy is cheap. But he probably won't be cheap for long because of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers nostalgia. So, you know, if you want one cheap, you better act quick. This is a must-have for any Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. So, until next time, I will be doing another review. I will definitely be doing review of the other 4. I'll probably be splitting them up into, like, the boys and the girls, just to save on review time. They're, of course, going to be short since they use the same molds. But until next time, this is Darren, the stuttering toy nerd.